Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm not gonna give you many information because it's gonna be a great session, and I want to make sure you are all excited about that. There is not so much I can say from our next guest, which is a great man, Danny Banks. Danny Banks organizes District 71 Training Bureau and is part of District 71 because today we have many people from abroad and we are so excited about that. District 71 is UK and Ireland. It's my great pleasure and my great honor to give you, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Danny Banks. Please, the stage is yours.
Wow, thank you. That's one of the first time I've been called a great man. Thank you very much for that. What an honor. I'd like to welcome everybody to today's meeting. It's a particularly exciting project that Crystal and Paola and the team have been involved with over the last few months. And I'm quite honored to be asked to welcome you to this meeting from wherever you are in the world and wherever you are in the British Isles. So welcome. Speechcraft has been a key strength for Toastmasters for quite a few years now, because it presents us with a way of offering a further personal development for our members. It allows us to get into our communities to work with different groups in the community, whether they're local organizations, local businesses, deprived groups. And it also offers us a key way of saying, look, Toastmasters is here. We can help you. Come and join us. And it's been a fantastic way of recruiting people. Now, what I think is particularly exciting about the work that the team here have done is that they've grabbed the opportunities presented by the pandemic. And to be honest with you, I never thought I'd be able to say that there were any opportunities in the pandemic, but they have taken the opportunities of Zoom and they've taken the Speechcraft course and brought it up to date and brought it online. And what they've also done, which is a big step forward in my opinion, is that they have introduced the pathways, practices and principles, so that the manual that you get from Toastmasters, the current manual, which is being changed, but the current manual is based on the old Toastmaster system, the old legacy system. What the team have done is bring it up to date and included pathways and level 1 projects and brought it online. So what you've got is a way of engaging with your communities. You've got the strengths of Speechcraft, which is to engage with communities, to provide a personal development for some of your members. And just again to say, look, just because of the pandemic, just because everything's online, doesn't mean to say Toastmasters doesn't exist. We're here. Come along, come and join us. So I think it's a fantastic piece of work that they've done. I'm particularly interested to hear how they've done it and how they've gone about it, because I want to go back to my club and my area and say, this tool is available for us. Let's use it. Let's start the process of building up our clubs again. So I'm really excited about trying to find out today how to do this. And so I'm now going to hand over to Paola, who has been a member of the team, who is going to be moderating the panel for us today. Paola is a Toastmaster from Italy. She's in District 109 and has been very much involved in this whole process. So I hope, like me, you're ready to take plenty of notes and learn so that you can go back to your clubs and share this program with them. So please, everybody, help me welcome Paola to the stage.
Thank you, Danny, for the great introduction. And greetings, everyone. It is a great pleasure for me to welcome you to this event. And I really want to thank you for being here this morning. I like to look at this event as a conversation amongst international friends. On the registration form and on this call, we have noticed that we have people connecting from several districts. I would say around the globe. We have people from District 71, of course, District 109, 117, District 91, 179, 143, and many others. Wow, I think that's great. And now I would love to know which country you are connecting from. And so I would like you to write that in the chat box. By the way, we have two friendly chat monitors today. We have Gaia Chilento and Philip O'Brien. Hi, Philip, and hi, Gaia. They will be checking the chat box, both Zoom and YouTube, so that we make sure that we don't miss anything or anyone. Questions during the panel are encouraged and welcome. We will have a question and answer session at the end of the discussion. So don't be shy, don't hesitate to speak your mind. Just type in your questions in the chat box as we go along. We already received questions during the registration process. Some of them will find answers during the discussion. If your question should go unanswered today, probably because we ran out of time, Philip will share an email address which you can send your questions to and haven't answered them in the next few days. We also have a timer with us today. She's Ellen Kelly from Scotland. Hi, Ellen. Thank you for being here with us today. She will help us stay on track with our schedule. All right, so you wrote something in the chat box, I feel. So Philip, can you please read off the first 10 people who wrote in the chat box and tell us where people are connecting from? Oh, there you are, Philip.
Thank you, Paula. And we did agree that I would send them to you via WhatsApp, so that's what I have done. But so I don't have names, I just have countries. So I do have Ireland, Zimbabwe, Malaysia, South Africa, Italy, Germany, Northern Ireland, USA, and England so far.
Fantastic. Thank you, Philip.
Canada,
it is.
I just see.
Oh, also Canada. Wow. I think it is great to have such a diverse audience, because this will no doubt contribute to a very fruitful sharing of ideas, in my opinion. By the end of this session, we would like you to take away 3 things: practical advice, the pathway model that we followed, and the benefits, both for yourself and your club. So I would say, let's move right into it. The object of this discussion today is Speechcraft, and more precisely, it's online Speechcraft based on pathways. Online Speechcraft is currently being used pretty much worldwide because of the in-person meeting restriction due to the pandemic. The online Speechcraft that was held here in District 71 is a bit different, as it was based on the use of the first level of pathways, as opposed to the regular manuals which are normally used, as Danny was mentioning earlier. Before we look deeper into the innovative version of the program, I would like to quickly summarize how Toastmasters International defines Speechcraft, because we are aware that part of the audience on this call today is not familiar with this outreach program to begin with. So Speechcraft is a great opportunity for experienced Toastmasters to present the fundamentals of public speaking to non-Toastmasters. It can be offered one of 2 ways. As part of a club meeting, or as a seminar-style program presented outside of a club. The content can be delivered in 4, 6, or 8 weeks. sessions, I would say, better than weeks. During a Speechcraft, several topics get covered, and they range from overcoming the terror of speaking in front of a public to speech construction, organization, delivery, and so on. Today, we will look at the Speechcraft experience from a new, paperless, and 100% online perspective. Okay, so let's go and meet our panelists who are all from the same team. Hello, Crystal, John, Anita, and Patricia. Thank you for being here with us today. Before we get into the discussion, the audience and I want to know a little bit more about you. I'm now going to ask you to take a couple of minutes, each one of you, and tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background, and also, I would say, why in the first place you decided to try online Speechcraft. So I'm going to start with the leader of the team, the organizer, and the mind behind the project. Please help me welcome to the virtual stage, Crystal Long.
Thank you, Paula. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, from wherever in the world you are tuning into. So my name is Crystal. I'm an area director within Division A here in District 71. I'm a member of Cork Toastmasters, Cork Douglas, but I'm also a dual member with District 117's club, Burnsville County in North Carolina in the States. With that, my own background is I'm an educator and trainer. I deliver digital ICT programs, information communication technology programs, to students of all different levels and abilities here in Cork in Ireland. Having said that, I design educational programs as well that meet the skills and qualifications here in Ireland under the QQI. But not only that, I myself have been in Toastmasters since 2016. I personally came into Toastmasters from being a graduate on a Speechcraft program 5 years ago. And since then, when I came into Toastmasters, I really noticed that Speechcraft was delivered by a small number of Toastmasters around the district. But I wanted to learn more about Speechcraft because I personally enjoy the program, what it can give to the community, and all about how we use it to promote and build membership within our clubs. So since then, I have delivered 4 in-person Toastmaster clubs, 1 hybrid, and of course, most recently with the team here, as Paula said, online as well. So I took it online because during a pandemic, we couldn't deliver our meetings in person like we normally would. So we all took our clubs, our bricks and mortar clubs, online. So with that, I felt that I had a vision, we too can take Speechcraft online, and would it work just as much as our clubs are pretty much delivering their club meetings online to their members. Paula.
Well, thank you so much, Crystal. And let's now hear from the other team members. Please help me welcome to the virtual stage, John Alsop. Hi, John. You're muted.
Thank you. Hi, Paula. Hi, everybody. And it's a great pleasure to be here today. So a little bit about myself. My name is John Alsop, and I've been a member of Toastmasters now for 6 years. My home club is East Art Speakers, and I'm also the president of Cornerstone Advanced Communicators Club in District 71. My background is I'm a business manager, so I run an engineering company. I've spent a lot of time traveling internationally in my career, and I've met lots of interesting people. And one thing that really I've learned over those years is that communication is one of the key things for personal growth and business success. And since joining Toastmasters, I joined Toastmasters not to learn to be able to speak. I didn't think I needed to learn anything. I joined because I wanted to join a community that had a common interest, and Toastmasters really appealed to me. Since joining Toastmasters, I've learned so much about my personal skills and how by working with other people, you can develop even further and you can learn from each other. So the opportunity to work with Crystal and the rest of the team on Speechcraft really appealed to me because it's an opportunity for me to share the skills that I developed within Toastmasters and widen my experience of working with other teams. So I'm really looking forward to today's discussion, and I hope everybody will enjoy it as much as I'm sure I will. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you so much, John. It is a pleasure having you on this panel. Let's now welcome the next member, and it's Anita Howard. Hello, Anita.
Hello, Paula. Hello, everyone, and thank you all so much for coming to the event today. I've been a Toastmaster in District 71 for about 5 years now as well. I'm a member of Cork Douglas Toastmasters, Bishopstown Toastmasters, and the recently formed Knocknaheeny Toastmasters, which we hope will charter soon. By profession, I'm a teacher, and so the key values of Toastmasters, which would be helping people to develop, even as you develop yourself, are very fundamental to what I do for a living also. And so I was delighted with the opportunity to take part in Speechcraft in the traditional format, face-to-face, a few years ago, along with Crystal. And when the pandemic came, I was very intrigued and then very happy to be part of the project of bringing Speechcraft online, because as I see it, at an exceptionally challenging time in all of our lives and our times, it's a way of making sure that development and that encouragement and those leadership values continue, and those skills continue to be passed on for the world as it is now and the world as it will be after these challenges that it's facing at the moment. So I hope that what we are doing and what we've done has made some changes and contributions to that. And I look forward to the opportunity today of being able to discuss this further with all of you here. So thank you again for coming, and I hope that you all really enjoy the event.
Thank you, Anita. It's a pleasure to have you on the panel as well. Let's move to our fourth panelist now, and let's welcome Patricia Howard. Hello, Patricia.
Hi, Paula. Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. I am Patricia, and I'm coming up for my 3rd year as a Toastmaster. I am president of Cork Toastmasters, and I am an assistant area director along with Anita for Area 23. I have become, during the pandemic, a member of Powder Mills in Ballincollig in Cork, and also of John's club, Cornerstone Advanced Club, which is an online club. I joined Toastmasters because I was at a period in my life where my confidence was low, and I wanted to increase my confidence, learn a new skill, and meet new people. And I can honestly say, in the almost 3 years that I've been in Toastmasters, it has given so much to my life, both in my personal life, but also in my professional life. Marketing was what I did in college and what I worked at for many years. I'm currently an administrator within the disability services of the HSE, which is the Irish National Health Service. And I feel that being a member of Toastmasters has helped my job so much in terms of how I relate to my colleagues, how I relate to management, how I perform in meetings, etc. When I joined Toastmasters, I made myself a promise that any opportunity that came up, I would never refuse, because I think that's part of your learning. Even if it scares you, go ahead and do it, because the learning will be wonderful from what you do. Therefore, that's why I came on this Speechcraft team with Crystal and the others. And I also wanted to pay it forward. It's given me so much in my life. I wanted to be able to impart some of that in a small way to the participants of the program. And I have to say, I learned so much from being on the team that I hope they did as well. And I look forward, like the others, in sharing my experiences with you today. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you, Patricia, for being with us today. And thank you to all the panelists for sharing your story with us. So let's move right into our discussion. Let me get my questions ready. And there we go. I would say that we could start from the beginning. Let's start from the basics. One of the first steps in setting up the program based on the first level of pathways would no doubt require that all projects be available to the students. I'm going to ask this one to Crystal. We know, Crystal, that we have the icebreaker, which is available for everybody on Toastmasters International. But how did you share the rest of the first level projects for non-Toastmasters?
Thank you very much for that question. So when we took the Speechcraft online, of course, we couldn't use the manual traditionally like we would, so we had to go with online PDF projects so that we can send them easily by email to the students while they're working with us online. But having said that, as we all know, Pathways, a lot of the projects, well, all of the projects in Pathways are available to us on PDF as we work through our levels. So you correctly said that the Icebreaker speech project is available to non-Toastmasters and Toastmasters alike from the Toastmasters International own website. But saying that, I downloaded the Icebreaker speech project in its whole entirety, including the evaluation forms, and dispatched them to the participants on the first week of the Speechcraft session. From there, after they finished their Icebreaker, because the other projects of within the level 1 are not available to them, we just allow them to, we tweaked the Icebreaker project and gave them a new set of objectives and widened the time to the 5 to 7 minutes. And we worked it that way because, you know, Toastmasters haven't made those internal documents available externally yet. But the Icebreaker speech project is available on the fast track program that Toastmasters has up on his website for non-Toastmasters to also get a taste of Pathways. So we incorporated the Icebreaker into the program, but we just gave him a new set of objectives for the next couple of speeches. But of course, we widened the time, and that's how we were able to kind of blend or integrate the Pathways program within the Speechcraft program that we were delivering.
All right, thank you, Crystal. And there has been a specific question sent in from the public that you might just want to answer quickly. How many students can you realistically work with this program? Crystal.
Sorry, can you repeat that? There was a delay.
Oh, sorry. There has been a specific question sent in from the public, and they are asking how many students can you realistically work with?
Okay, so that will depend on the number of people you have on your team, as in mentors or other Toastmasters who are there to help out. But realistically, anywhere between 6 and 10. 10 is enough for me, particularly as an educator. I work with 10 in a classroom if I can. But given Speechcraft is online, I would say anywhere between 6 and 10. But what we did find is that we did advertise it for 10. And usually after week 1, people start dropping off because, you know, the program is not probably suitable. Maybe they're not ready, too nervous, whatever the reason. So we ended up from 10 participants down to 6 by the time of the final graduation. And we had 7 members on the team as well that were able to mentor people one-on-one, giving the extra support behind the scenes, offline and of course online as well with Speechcraft. Yes. So anywhere between 6 and 10 is plenty for an online Speechcraft program.
All right, yeah, 6 to 10 would be a good number then.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Anita, Crystal just mentioned that there is a team behind this. How large of a team did you work with?
How many of the teams? I'm sorry.
Yes, how many people were there on the team?
Well, there were about 5 or 6 of us working together as a team that organising the project, and we each took one student or at most 2, and we mentored them and worked quite closely with them on all their projects, and we made sure that we were available to them whenever they needed us to be. We set up regular mentoring meetings with them, and we devoted that time to their development for the time that the course went on.
Right. In which roles need to be covered during a session?
The roles that were usually covered were table topics, evaluator, and speaker. We based it around the usual structure of a Toastmasters meeting, and as we did so, we also put the focus on developing skills in those roles and understanding of the roles and how they fit together as part of the meeting structure. So first we did these roles ourselves and demonstrated them to the students, and then week by week we gave the students a little bit more responsibility to take those roles themselves, and we were very often quite amazed by the level of skill and expertise that they displayed, and the abilities that they revealed that were already there and being developed. So over time, that was how we did that.
Yeah, another concern we might have with online Speechcraft is that Toastmasters by now are used to using Zoom, for instance. Was there a need to explain how to use it, how to use the online platform, and how did you go about it?
We discovered really that there was a lot of experience by the time we began the program in using the online platform, but concerns such as the etiquette of Zoom, for instance, turning off your camera if you are going to move during a speech, and the way that Zoom can be used to help speakers, pinning the timer during a speech, for instance, looking into the webcam as a way of improving your eye contact with your audience, and indeed the crucial thing that so often comes up, standing up during a speech, and how you then set up your speaking area in your learning space, really. And it is different, obviously, from the traditional lectern. But we found that as the time went on, there were also many opportunities to address this during our meetings. And I think when we do it again, I think we will make even more effort to take that into account.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anita. I would like to ask Patricia, we just mentioned about the roles and also that people were supported by the team. So we might want to say that each student had a mentor or an advisor, because we know that in Speechcraft, mentorship is called advisory. In your experience, is there a difference in approach between the role of the advisor during a Speechcraft as opposed to that of mentor in Toastmasters?
This was my first time doing facilitating a Speechcraft program, and my experience would be that there isn't. I saw my role with my student as a mentor, that I was able to impart my knowledge of crafting a speech, creating a speech, and delivering a speech to her. So I suppose I don't see that much of a difference really, in that my role with my student was to be there for her in whatever way she needed me to assist her. Now, I was very lucky with the student that I had, in that she was very invested in the program. She was very dedicated to learning how to be a better public speaker. And I would say she was well on the road to being an excellent public speaker when she came to Speechcraft. So my role really was just to help her along, answer any questions that she had in relation to presenting, and maybe ironing out any issues that she had when she was delivering her speech. But I definitely saw my role to her as a mentor-mentee role.
All right, wonderful. And well, if you were to do it over again, is there something that you would do differently as a mentor?
I think I worked very well with my mentee in that we set up, and this was how I thought it was best to do it. Other people may have their own way of doing it, but I set up structured meetings so that we would do the program on a Saturday. She would come away on maybe Sunday, think about what she was going to do. We would meet on Monday discuss her project, how she was going to deal with it for the week. She would give me her ideas. I would tell her what I thought of those ideas and how it was very much led by her. And I would just say whether I thought that was a good idea or something perhaps that she had forgotten. And then on Wednesday, she would check in with me, sometimes via phone or text message. Sometimes we'd arrange a Zoom call, and she would come to me with questions or any queries that she had. And then we would do a final session on Friday before the formal session on the Saturday, whereby she would do her speech to me as if she was giving it to the group. And we would go through it, rehearse her timings, and see was there anything that she needed to change before the meeting. So from my perspective, I was very happy with how that relationship went and how the whole mentoring process was conducted.
Thank you so much, Patricia, for sharing your experience, your mentoring experience. And I'd like to ask John, because we were chatting some time ago, and I remember, John, that you told me you had a good mentoring experience as well during the project. Would you like to tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, certainly, Paula. So first of all, I'd like to say that I think it's really important in Speechcraft that to keep the students engaged, the Speechcraft program has to meet their personal needs. So when we look at Speechcraft, there's two aspects to it. One is the program, what information, what is the program we want to cover, what are the topics. But secondly, and for me, equally important, is what does the individual want to get out of the Speechcraft program? So the one-to-one mentoring, coaching, advising is really, really important, and it's really critical for the success of the course that happens. Because individuals, if you join Toastmasters, you have a long-term plan of what you want to achieve from it. In Speechcraft, it's a short, focused course. And it's really important from that perspective to make sure that you're delivering for the individual what they want out of it. In my case, the guy that I was working with had a specific goal in his joining Speechcraft. He wanted to look at some of his, let's say, business presentations and how we can be more effective in business presentations. So it was really important for me to understand that so that I could guide him and focus on his goals rather than what I wanted to teach. And this is really, really important when you look at Speechcraft as opposed to Toastmaster mentoring, which is more of a long-term, and you're looking at specific projects in a specific way. With Speechcraft, it's much more important to focus on the individual and what their goals are in order for you to develop and for the individual to get the most out of the effort that you're putting into Speechcraft. Thank you, Paul.
Okay, thank you. And I'm curious, John, have you had a chance to follow up with your mentee after Speechcraft?
I haven't. I worked really closely with him during the Speechcraft. I know that he's very busy. He's working on some other aspects of his career, but I do intend to touch base with him, if only to talk about football, because we managed to find a common interest, and which is, and we all know this in any form of mentoring. It's really important to build those relationships on a personal level in order to get that level of confidence and trust in each other. So I will be ringing him up as soon as City do better than Liverpool in the league. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Well, let's move from mentoring to education. And John, I would like to stay with you and ask you another question. How was educational training offered during the 4 weeks? Could you just explain to us a little bit how the educational part was taken care of?
Yes, definitely. So the Speechcraft is really focused on building those or looking at those initial skills for public speaking. So we felt it was really important to get some educational context within the Speechcraft program, but not to be overwhelming our participants with a sort of a lecture every week on aspects of speech development or public speaking that maybe not relevant to them at that particular stage. So our approach was to look at an overall, a single session. It was about 15-20 minutes, which was entitled Building for Success. And we covered topics such as speech, development. So we looked at the important aspects of opening, middle, and an end to a speech. We talked about how those aspects are different. We looked at particular aspects of speaking, like vocal variety, body language, eye contact, and using visual aids. And we also looked at making sure that when delivering a speech, it's really important to have an objective and a goal and what you expect to get out of it. So we try to keep the educational aspect of the Speechcraft really succinct and focused on 3 or 4 key aspects of public speaking, which our participants were able to use in the first few speeches of their journey into public speaking.
Yes, and did you feel there is something in particular that really needs to be covered besides what is already done, you've already done in the Speechcraft? Is there something in particular that you feel should be there as an educational?
I think it's really important to give people confidence. So by keeping the educational aspect of it succinct and clear, it allows people to understand what's really important very quickly. Because people in Speechcraft, it's about having a short-term introduction into public speaking, focused on the individual, which has a measurable result at the end of it. So they come in, they join Speechcraft with an idea of what they want to get out of it, and it's down to the team to deliver that. But the educational side is really important to keep it succinct and to the 3 or 4 key aspects of public speaking: how to do a speech, what to include, and how to use some of the skills and tactics that we all learned through Toastmasters.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much. Crystal, let's talk about benefits, because this is a question that comes up a lot. Speechcraft in itself is a great learning experience for advanced Toastmasters, but which are, in your opinion, the greatest benefits for this program has, both at a personal level and also for a club?
Speechcraft has many benefits for many experienced Toastmasters and for those that are less experienced as well in Toastmasters who want to try something new. So from a personal point of view, it gives us a lot in terms of how to facilitate workshops, how those that want to sharpen training skills. Like I said, I'm a trainer, so it helps me with my training skills going forward. It allows me to develop my own public speaking skills. So I'm taking them out into a different audience each time and practicing in front of other participants who are new to Toastmasters. So it really gives me kind of a more kind of rounded development in my skills on how I appear in front of other people in terms of my communication, in terms of my leadership skills. So there's a whole bunch of skills that we can get from Toastmasters, but from Speechcraft, but it's also from a personal level, the satisfaction of helping others to grow and develop like we have in Toastmasters. So there's like pathways, like the current educational programs that we're using within our clubs, we can gain so much more, but it's about pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, taking the skills that you learned in your own club meeting, putting them out there into the community, introducing non-Toastmasters to Toastmasters. And it's a great way as well to sharpen the skills and the tools that we have learned in Speechcraft. And as John said, it's great for confidence boosting as well for Toastmasters who are particularly used to the same group of people in their clubs to go and do it elsewhere. But it's also a great PR exercise as well, getting other people to know about Toastmasters, to explore what Toastmasters can do within the community as well. So it has lots of benefits from further developing those communication skills, broadening your public speaking skills, your presenting skills, training, facilitation, workshops, how to work with people on a mentoring or advisory capacity. So there's a whole lot of essential benefits to members, but it's also a great way as well to gain your DTM through the Speechcraft program as well. Because, you know, as we know in Pathways, it's become a lot more clearer to us that you can use Speechcraft and youth leadership, the outreach programs, to benefit yourself as well going forward, but it also gives you extra credit on the DTM path as well as compared to the legacy program. It was there, but it just wasn't to the fore as it is now under Pathways.
All right, thank you for explaining us the benefits of Speechcraft, which are many, really. From the benefits to the person who's going to hold the Speechcraft, to the benefits of who is going to be on the receiving hand. Patricia, did you see measurable improvements in student skills and confidence at the end of the 4 weeks period?
I did, Paula, and I'll speak about my own mentee and student, I think, because this is the student that I know best. When she began, she was very fearful. She wanted to achieve a goal, and her goal was to be able to do presentations at work, to have more confidence speaking up in meetings, and to generally just to be able to stand up or online as we are now are in front of a group of people and not have fear in doing so. And she was very nervous when she came in, but what we realized is that she did have the skills. It was just believing in herself and the confidence that she had in herself, you know, in herself and how she performs. And by the end of the program, I really feel that she was more assertive and she had more belief in herself, which I think is very important. With others who might have been shyer about speaking in public and very, you know, unsure of what to say, I think by the end of those couple of weeks, it was fair to say that they were able to perform better in their last speech than they did in the first one. They had more confidence. It was easier for them to do. They didn't see it as such a chore. So I definitely think that there was learning for them and that it was a very, very positive experience for them in many ways. And I think that they left feeling more confident in their own abilities, which I think is the core of public speaking, is to be confident in what you're saying and how you deliver your message to people.
Thank you, Patricia. I would like to ask Anita, during Speechcraft, there comes a moment when Toastmasters needs to be introduced to the students. At which point during the 4 weeks did you introduce students to the organization? Was it from the beginning?
I would say that we started right from the beginning with an awareness that Toastmasters was there, that we were coming at this through its structure, and that we were at a certain level preparing them to understand the structure of a Toastmasters meeting. But of course, the values behind Toastmasters are very universal to personal development, to the development of leadership skills and communication skills. So we knew that even if they didn't decide to pursue this through the Toastmasters format, they would still have a foundation that they could take into many other formats. But from the beginning, we did introduce Toastmasters, but it was always clear to them that was not the only format. However, it was something that had brought us a lot of fulfillment and development and got us to the point where we were able to do, where we felt able to do what we were doing as facilitators of that course. And so we operated with constant awareness of Toastmasters and as representatives of Toastmasters. And it was left to themselves whether they wished to continue through the Toastmasters format. But I think, and I certainly hope that we represented it in the very best way to them. And we were delighted that several of them did choose to join Toastmasters.
Well, thank you, Anita. We will hear from one of our graduates just in a moment. But before we do, I would like to ask all of you just one sentence to close the discussion, because time has gone really fast. And that is, what is your greatest takeaway from this experience? We'll start with Crystal.
For me, the best takeaway from this experience is doing something new with people that I haven't worked with before, apart from Anita and Patricia. And of course, giving our participants the benefits of Toastmasters that we have gotten for ourselves. So to see people come on leaps and bounds at the end of the 4th week was an absolute great achievement on our behalf, to see the confidence they got from Speechcraft. And as Anita said, to see at least half of that group now residing in our Toastmaster clubs as well. So that was a great achievement, and it was a great takeaway that it can be done.
Thank you. Thank you, Crystal. What about you, John?
Yeah, so my takeaway are threefold. First of all, from working with a different group of people, and particularly working as a peer-to-peer group. So although Crystal was the team leader, it was very much a collaborative workshop or event. So we all worked together, and it was really interesting to learn from different people, different perspectives, different experiences. So for me personally, it was very formative in terms of my gaining experience and knowledge. Secondly, I would echo what Crystal said. The fact that you're in an environment where you can see direct improvement through your own efforts and cooperating and working with individuals is really rewarding. So I would encourage anybody who's perhaps, you know, in their stage in their Toastmasters career where they're finding the challenges of going to a meeting and doing speeches not bringing anything particularly new to them. Speechcraft is an ideal vehicle to do that. It gives an opportunity for whatever level you are in Toastmasters to really stretch yourself and learn something new. And thirdly, I think, you know, seeing the satisfaction on the individual participants in achieving their personal goals in such a short period of time was really satisfying. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, John. And Anita, what about you? What's your takeaway?
Well, I think as John said, the experience of working with a diverse, supportive and extremely dedicated and inspiring group of people, and the experience of working with and for such inspirational students that as we had. And I suppose as a teacher, the satisfaction of encouraging people to participate, of seeing people grow in confidence, and the less usual experience of seeing this happen while you were on one continent and the student was on another, and the satisfaction was just the same for being able to do this across a larger distance. So I think it was an experience of development, of growing confidence, and of transformation in many cases. And the experiences that always stay with me are the moments when students reveal the great abilities that they have and the great skills that they have towards the end of the course as the course continues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. And Patricia, we are really short on time. What are your greatest takeaway?
My greatest takeaway, I suppose I echo what the others have said, but if I was to sum it up, I would say empowerment. Empowerment on behalf of those of us that were coordinating it in terms of learning a new skill, maybe pushing ourselves outside our own comfort zones, but empowerment for the students as well, that they came in as very nervous, very frightened, like I said before, lacking confidence in public speaking, and they left with a skill and an ability, and their own confidence was boosted, and they pushed themselves way outside their own comfort zones. And I think that's very empowering. So my one takeaway, if I sum it up, would be empowerment. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you, Patricia, and thank you all the panelists. And we would like to move on to our students. Do we have the student here with us? Do we have Susan here? Philip? Or Geroy?
Yes, we do. Susan is with us.
Oh, okay, I hear her. Hi, Susan, how are
Hello,
you?
everybody. I'm very good, Paula. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's a pleasure to talk with you today. Susan, you are one of our graduates of the Speechcraft program.
That's correct.
And I would like to ask you just a couple of questions regarding your experience with us. And I'd like to start at the beginning. How did you hear about us? Many people are asking, you know, how do you find the people? How do you find the students? How did you hear about us?
During the first lockdown, Paulo, I was looking to do something different, and I always loved public speaking. Never had time to join Toastmasters, but I saw a Facebook ad for a conference in London, a 2-day conference that you were having in May. So I bought a ticket and loved the 2 days. And shortly after that, I think it was the cookies or something on Facebook that was following me, but I saw Crystal's ad for the 4-week Speechcraft program. And I thought 4 Saturdays, that sounds doable and something interesting. So that's how I saw the ad.
All right. And so what were your expectations when you signed up?
I hadn't done public speaking since I was in school, and I was hoping to learn new skills, to practice, I suppose, with the experts, and to see really what Toastmasters was about, to get an understanding of it. So they were my objectives.
Good. Did you feel supported during the program?
Absolutely. That's the really surprising thing, because it's such a nerve-wracking thing to do, and I was one of the people who was coming in with very low confidence and just not having done it for a very long time. So it is an incredibly supportive environment, and the part I was dreading was the feedback, and that in itself is very much strengths-based, and anything that needs to be improved on is delivered in such a positive way. So yeah, very, very supportive.
Great. I'll ask you the same question I asked the panelists. What do you consider your main takeaway from this experience?
My main takeaway, many of my speeches was about fear. And I think my main takeaway is I faced that fear, I've got over that huge sort of thing in my head that I couldn't do it. But with everybody's support, there was incredible hard work on everybody's behalf. I went on to join the Knocknaheeny Club. So it's about facing your fear and doing it anyway.
Perfect. And you feel the 4 weeks were enough for you to test out just public speaking? I mean, to get over your initial fear of speaking in public? Or would you have liked a longer, perhaps 6 or 8 weeks course?
I think that the 4 weeks, just for me anyway, it was something I thought about it and said 4 weeks, it's not that long a time. If I'm terrible at this, then it's only 4 weeks, but it gives you a real taster. And there was incredible hard work to produce those speeches, and particularly not only speeches, but you also learned how to listen to somebody, how to evaluate, which was surprising as well. So I think a huge amount of work was achieved over 4 weeks. To me, it was perfect.
Well, thank you so much, Susan, for sharing your experience with us. And we all wish you a long and happy journey in Toastmasters since you joined.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Paula, and thanks to
Thank
the commission.
you, Susan. All right, it is now time for question and answers from the public. I got a million questions here, people. Let me put my glasses on because I really need to read this. Let me see. Where did I? All right. So the first one I have here is, how can you achieve consistency over the experiences of different participants of a cohort, since each will have a different mentor? From Panos Korelis. Who would like to take this one? I can read it again. How can you achieve consistency over the experiences of different participants, since each will have a different mentor?
Can I answer that, Paula?
Yes, please.
So I think this is a really good question. So it's really important in the Speechcraft structure in the team that you have a clearly identified lead coordinator. So in our case, Crystal was the lead coordinator, which meant that individually we could work with our participants, but Crystal also had the opportunity to get feedback both from us as the Toastmasters working with the individuals, but also from the individuals about how their experience with the Toastmaster was working, which allowed Crystal then to give advice and support to us as individuals if there was any time that maybe we were missing something or didn't quite understand what the individuals were looking for. So it's really important when you think about your Speechcraft team to have that understanding of how the individuals operate, and to have a lead coordinator who everybody has confidence in and who can maybe have a broader overview to make sure that everybody is getting the best experience from it.
Thank you, John. There is a question that comes up over and over. It's how effective is Speechcraft in recruiting new Toastmasters? Crystal, would you like to take that?
Yeah, so Toastmasters was originally designed, I suppose, to be your number one membership building tool. It's a way for us to bring Toastmasters out into the community, introduce non-members of the community to Toastmasters who wouldn't have had the experience or an introduction to Toastmasters. But having said that, since we went online, it became quite difficult for us to be on Zoom and to recruit non-members from the local community onto our online clubs. So it kind of took away the aspect of, encouraging people to come to a Toastmaster meeting in person, to try to attract people online into an online club. So the members that we had, the graduates, we had 9 participants starting off, but after week 1, when we outlined the program, as John said, we were pretty much person-centered. We spoke about their goals, what would they like to achieve, and how we can help them through the mentoring. But what you see then is that you might get the 1 or 2 will start to drop off. But what we did in the 4 weeks, we kept it to 4 weeks because we want to give them a taste of Toastmasters, but we didn't want to give them too much. So we didn't want to burden them with everything about Toastmasters, because we want to just whet their appetite. Give them a little taste. By the end of it, by week 4, leave them wanting more, that they would jump into a Toastmaster club. And in our case, as you heard from Susan, we did quite successfully with Susan, where she wanted to learn more. She overcame that fear, and we gave them the confidence to do their public speaking, the practice that we all have in our clubs, give it to the participants, then start introducing Toastmasters. And we did the big presentation about what is Toastmasters. And before we knew it, they were pleasantly surprised about what really goes on in our clubs, how now online that we can interact with other clubs globally as well, and how the world has opened up with Toastmasters. So 50% of our membership cohort actually joined Toastmasters, with 1 or 2 still yet to join. They gave me their membership forms, but I'm kind of talking to clubs at the moment to see which club would suit them best and where would they like to go, and days and times and that. So it is a great way to recruit members, but you have to be very sure with your team what is your main objective, and it all comes down to the planning and the organising of Speechcraft and how you intend to use Speechcraft to recruit members. So it really comes down to the core heart of the team, the planning and the organising.
Yes, thank you, Crystal. There's another question that came up more than once, and it is, where and how do you get participants? What platforms for advertising do you use?
Yeah, so yeah, could I take that, Patrick? Yep. It's just okay. So we started this Speechcraft late October. They graduated on around the 7th of November. So what I did initially was I did advertise on Eventbrite, and I shared that Eventbrite advertising across all my social media networks. And as Susan said, she found it on Facebook, but a lot of the cohort of the other students came in through LinkedIn when I shared the Eventbrite. Now I set it to a max of 10 tickets or 10 places on the Eventbrite app. So by the time we got the 10 places were booked, but by the time we came in, you always have to leave room for a few extra people in case 1 or 2 drop off. So you're left with a good number to actually, continue with the program. So yeah, so it was all Eventbrite, and it was social media, because, you can't really kind of post traditionally like you would, in flyers on supermarkets or things like that, because we're all online. So I posted it everywhere and everywhere that I could, in particular groups, event groups within Cork City, internationally as well. And we got participants from Canada, participants from Hong Kong, with many of them from Ireland, and maybe one from the UK. So it's pretty much like the advertising is online because we are online.
Yes, was there, how much did we charge for Speechcraft?
At the moment, because it was pretty much an experiment for us to see if we can take it online, we didn't charge for this particular one. But yes, you can charge for Speechcraft. Traditionally, we used to charge to cover the cost of the traditional manual kits, which were around $20 plus the big postage expense for Toastmasters. But what I did previously was I would charge them the full membership rate of the 45 US dollars or 50 euros, as it is here in Ireland. And then if they did join, I would transfer the fees that they paid me for Speechcraft as part of their membership fees. So that's the way I used to do it traditionally, but on this case, it was just pretty much an experiment for us to see if we can bring it online. So we didn't charge anything this time. So yeah, so then as you can see, still half of them did decide to join Toastmasters in the end.
All right. And would you see benefits if Speechcraft was held at the area or a division level?
I'll answer that one, if I may, Paola. Yes,
Yes.
I think this is a really good question. The reason it's a good question is that at the moment in Toastmasters, previously, many clubs have been very sort of self-sufficient and worked independently of their neighbouring clubs, their areas and divisions and districts. I think now the world has changed so much that working together has become more of the norm, and within Speechcraft, there's a real opportunity to, as I mentioned earlier, working with different people is a fundamental learning experience for everybody. And by doing it across clubs, across areas, divisions, and even districts, allows us to widen our experience and also make the most of the Speechcraft, both for us as individuals, but also for the participants. You know, if the participants join a group of people from different areas in the region or the country or globally, then it adds to that environment and that learning experience. So yes, I would definitely encourage clubs to work together on Speechcraft rather than, you know, maybe just do it within a club, because you get more experience and more opportunities.
Well, thank you, John. And one last question, because we're coming to a closing. How do you get 10 speeches into one session? Who would like to take that one?
Look, I'll go ahead. So 10 speeches, we didn't do 10 speeches. Yes, we had 6 participants by the end. We started off with 10, of course, that changed to 9. And then before we know it, by week 3, we were left with 6. So it was very tight to begin with when we started first doing the icebreakers, because there was a whole load of them. So what we did was we had 2.5 hours per session. Now, we didn't do any more than that because, you know, Zoom fatigue and things like that. We didn't want to keep people too long on Zoom as well. So what we did was we kind of scaled back a lot of the meeting, club meeting, traditional stuff that we would have, like the grammarian roles and things like that. So we did have the 3 parts of the club meeting traditionally, which is the prepared speeches, the evaluations and the table topics, and we left it at that. We did have our topics master. We did explain the roles. We did allow for a 15-minute topic, but the members themselves evaluated each other. So only in week 1, we were evaluating the icebreaker speeches. After that, they started evaluating themselves, and they did quite so successfully. And of course, as Patricia said as well, it's about taking the mentoring offline as well and actually engaging with the mentee and actually going through those protocols with them offline, because they're not going to get everything online to an online meeting, because you don't want to overwhelm them either. So that's why we had the connection with the mentoring. So it's kind of really down to the planning really, and we allowed the mentees or our mentees to introduce each speaker as well. So the evaluator who was evaluating speaker 1 will introduce the speech, but they'll also evaluate it as well, and the speaker would come in and give their speech as well. So it really comes down to, you know, the timing. Do you want a 2-hour session? Do you want a 3-hour session? What we did was like 2.5 was pretty much it. As I said, it was just speeches, evaluations and topics. We kind of left out the rest because, let's face it, if they were to join a club, they're going to get those elements and they're going to learn those elements in a Toastmasters club. What we really wanted pretty much so was to build their confidence, to get them speaking and do the essential feedback and allow them to freely talk as well during the table topics and harness those skills as well.
Well, thank you, Crystal. We cannot take any more questions. I am sorry, we have so many. So I would ask Philip to just post in the chat box one address, an email address where people can send their questions to, and we will try to answer your questions in the next few days. And we also have a bonus for our audience. As a follow-up, we will email you. We will email the people that were here today with a toolkit with sample materials that we have used during our Speechcraft to provide also that way there you will also find the email, but I'm sure that I can't see the chat right now, but I'm sure that Philip has already shared it. And we will offer you the opportunity to give you support in case you decide to try the online Speechcraft based on pathways. Well, we're in closure. I want to give a big applause to Crystal, John, Anita, and Patricia. Thank you for your time, the information, and the value that you share with us today. Our applause also goes to all our support team, the awesome Zoom masters, Geroyd Murphy and Liz Welch. Our meet and greet host and YouTube chat monitor, Gaia Tilenko from Milano. Our Zoom chat monitor, Philip O'Brien, our timer, Helen Kelly, and of course, the training bureau manager for District 71, Danny Banks. If you like this panel, don't miss another opportunity for a great event that will be held tonight. I will now give you the virtual podium to the PR manager in District 71, Elizabeth Jordan, that will give you details about the upcoming event. Elizabeth, are you here?
I am indeed. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Fellow Toastmasters from around the world, welcome. And thank you, Crystal and team, for an absolutely excellent presentation as a panel. I have to put my hand up and say I was also one of your Speechcraft monitors. So you didn't mention me, Crystal. So a minus point for that. No, seriously, it was great fun. This evening, D71, we have the honor of having the 2019 World Champion of Public Speaking, Aaron Beverly. He's going to talk to us about the process that led him to becoming the world champion. If you're free, if you have time, please do join us at 1800 GMT. You'll have to translate that depending where you are in the world, but this is not to be missed. Contest season is coming up, and if you want to hear how you can get some perfect tips of how to get to world champion, even how to get to the club or the district, come and hear Aaron. So 6 o'clock sharp, we will be there with the same wonderful Zoom team and the most delectable Gaia Silento will be warming us up. So look forward to seeing you at 6 o'clock today. Thank you very much. Thanks, Madam Moderator.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. And thank everybody for staying with us until the end. And let's keep in touch. Bye-bye.